Okay, hopefully I'm testing my new microphone and I'll be ready to go once I start sharing my PowerPoint presentation, which is going to be on a different screen to what you can see. Okay, looks like we're a go, and apologies for that rather delayed start there. I have technological issues other than my personal issues. So let's talk about tonight what we're going to be going through. So obviously tonight's presentation is obviously going to be about the financial crisis. I thought rather stupidly that tonight was going to be a shorter presentation where I could get away with a 10-minute update. How wrong was I? I say that with all sincerity because there has been an awful lot of updates that's been going on. So without further ado, and I don't want to keep you all night, but let's just understand where we are with the UK right now. So total cases is now 3,983. We've got total fatal cases now is 177, which is a lot more than the recovered cases. So we do need to bear in mind that we've got lower recovery of cases than fatal. So I've seen some Facebook pages saying it will blow over, or it's kind of bits like being bitten by a shark. I saw one post. I couldn't disagree any more than the post that I'm seeing, which is ridiculous. We can't compare diseases that have been around for many, many centuries. This is in its infancy in the UK, so we should be taking it more seriously than we currently are. Lecture over, but school is in session, or is it? Obviously, today we've had some of the closures. I'll talk about that in a second. But here's the chart, just to give you a bit of clarity in terms of the number of deaths that we've seen. And that spike is very similar to what it was in China. So Italy is going through a horrible period of time right now, and it looks like it's just going to get worse day by day basis. The UK is in its infancy. So a lot of these Facebook posts saying, well, putting it into perspective, well, no, you can't put something into perspective by comparing something like cancer and all the other mosquito bites, kind of stats that I've been sillily seen, compared to something that's just started in the UK. So let's have a bit of perspective of that and take this a little bit more seriously. Now, before I go on to a bit of lecture, it is Friday, so I'm going to try to make it a little bit lighter. But I've obviously done some live sessions previously talking about coronavirus and financial updates. So I talked about the financial impact of FTSE 100, which dropped below the 5,000. By the way, as an opportunity, have you thought about investing into that indice? I have. Worth you thinking about that. Government email updates, I talked about how you could be keeping up to date. It is worth you doing that. So maybe going back to that video to find out more. I talked about mortgage payment holidays. So we're talking about home mortgages and buy-to-let mortgages where you can get payment holidays, mainly on capital, and maybe some banks that are also deferring interest payments too. But you do need to speak to the banks. I also spoke about review expenditure. Interesting enough, I updated my article, and in my article under Optimize Accountants, there's a plethora of videos that you can watch, not my videos necessarily, but other people's, so it'd be a bit more entertaining. But have a look at that article where I talk about Martin Lewis, who talks about direct debits and how to really cut down your expenditure. I've also talked about rent guarantee. So the rent guarantee provided by the NLA, as an example, National Landlords Association, to help you with the rental income of your properties in case your tenants cannot afford it. I also talked about delay. Oh, sorry about that. I also talked about someone telling me to get off. Hold on. No, I've got some more news yet. And also tax delay payments as well. So how you can defer income tax, VAT, and corporation tax. By the way, on all of these things, I have already done myself. So these things are legit. They are in place. The tax delay, I did contact HMRC. Boy, I waited 45 minutes and then gave up because I had another meeting to go to. So you are going to struggle with that. And then yesterday, I had another update, and really I talked about business interruption business line. I'm going to go into a bit more information about that. And this is an update because of coronavirus specifically and the amount of money that the government are now going to put in. And the other news I said yesterday was no eviction for 3 months of your tenants. Even though they cannot pay your rent, then they will not be evicted from that property. I have said that you do need to have a two-way conversation with your tenants though, so make sure you do that. Before I go on any further, if you could summarize how you feel in one word, what would that word be in regards to coronavirus and the financial impact? Please type that into the comments box. And to help you along, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in my word, and I want you to write in your one word of how coronavirus is kind of making you feel. Okay, so I don't want you to give me a blurb in terms of what it is, but I've written mine, so I can't see anyone else typing it, so thanks. But it would be nice if you could type in any words in there. I've typed in the word exhausted. The word exhausted really is because there's been so much change. My head has been fried for a period of time. I've had to think about different things all the way through. Obviously, writing my article takes 2 hours a day to update that for you guys to read it. And then creating this presentation is also tiring. But because it feels more exhausting because there's so much going on. And I think there is a lot of unrest as well. And there's only so much you can do. So type in your one word, please, if you can. That would be fantastic. I'm going to ask Louise, who's listening in, hopefully in the other room, otherwise she's just falling asleep. But if she can do the same thing, just to give that, and I'll come back to that one word and answers that we have. So let's just carry on then. I'll read that one word. The other positive I want to talk to you about is tomorrow. The budget announcement was put in place, obviously, a few weeks ago, or was it last week? I don't know. They all blur together. But I've decided to put together a 2-hour workshop for property tax. And I really wanted to explore it from a perspective of earning money from your property investments and saving tax at the same time. So I'm going to be talking about the latest changes, tax structures that you might want to put in place. So be sure to tune into YouTube live at 9 a.m. tomorrow. And I will be there to kind of go through that. So make sure you are with me tomorrow at 9 a.m. for a couple of hours. And I'm going to go to huge amounts of details of how you can invest in property and pay the minimum amount of tax at the same time. So I saw the word from the Forex codes, frustration. So that's an interesting word, isn't it? I can imagine how people would feel frustrated. So if there's anyone else, so that it can give, come on, cheer up everyone, not cheer up, but come on, participate if you don't mind. That would be very much appreciated. So someone's just said overwhelmed. So let's have a look at those words as we go through. I did feel positive about today, the humanity pulling together. I'm a Liverpool fan, but I'm a huge fan of Gary Neville, I have to say. I think he's brilliant on Sky Sports, very analytical in approach, but actually he seems a pretty decent guy. I can't really vouch for that, to be fair. I can only say what I've seen on the TV, but that's what I think. Anyway, that's my opinion. If anyone knows Gary Neville, I was about to say Gary Lineker, different club, Gary Neville, then type in a few words to describe his personality if you've ever met him. so on that side of things, someone's just showing me the phone. Not logged in, but oh, right. Okay. Louise just said resolute in terms of her word. Oh, do you have to be? I didn't know you have to be logged in. So, oh, right. It's good to know. So, yeah. So, humanity pulling together. So, Gary Neville and Ryan Giggs have given their hotel to the NHS, which is fantastic. I think it's brilliant how we can see these type of people. And Roman Abramovich as well, giving up his hotel for the NHS. And I just feel genuinely feel wonderful about that. That the fact that we have got these people now giving up so much of their own assets for the greater cause. Now, lots of people skeptical out there would say, well, they should because they got lots of money. I don't think there is a should there. But it's great that we see that. So people with glass half empty will see the cynicism of it all. But I'm glass full, thank you, not half full. Glass full in terms of seeing what people are doing. So the new today, which I'm going to go into a bit more detail. Like I said, I thought I was going to get off lightly today. Not the case. So I'm going to talk about the closures across the UK. 80% of UK wages will soon be paid by HMRC. More details on that one, and more government grants as well. So let's just get into it straight away. So this was breaking news on Sky that I saw, where PM orders pubs, restaurants, and gyms to close across the UK. Now that's huge, especially in London. I used to live in London, and people just go into the pub. They don't have a home. They just finish work and go straight to the pub and stay there. So I'm not sure where they're going to live now. Now the pubs are all closed. So anyway, those are all closed. Gyms are closed. I mean, wow, that's a biggie. My PT trainer will be most disheartened that he's not going to see me. I was pushing 100 kilos, by the way, on my bench press. Quite impressed about that. But I'm now going to be a weekly skinny person again. So unfortunately, I'm not going to have that. But these are all closed. Terrible, 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 because we are having to stay at home. But it's necessary. We do need to do that. But people's jobs are at stake as a result of that, which is not the funny side of things. But hopefully we'll see these going through. So we've now seen enforced closures today of pubs, clubs, restaurant and gyms, schools, but for the emergency staff. So if you're a doctor, nurse, police, fire, all those emergency services, including social services, then if you have children, you still can get support from your school. So make sure you do contact your school directly. Our school, the Elms, has been fantastic. They send us been sending us emails every single day talking about what is going on. I'm sure your school has been doing the same, but no end of disruption there for the teachers. They are sending people home with homework to do, but obviously it has an impact on individuals. Now, this is going to be a challenging time because you no longer can do your job, and that also gives the employer a difficult task in terms of, well, if you're not going to do the job, we can't pay you. There is going to be a financial crisis there as well. But hopefully the government have come up. And I have to be honest, when I read some of the news tonight, I felt absolute positiveness about this government, about Rishi, about Boris. Even if I didn't vote for Conservatives, you have to feel confident. You have to feel positive about what they are doing. They are really helping this country out and getting back on track. And again, I appreciate the cynics out there will say, well, they should do this, blah, blah, blah. All those cynics, please look at the positive side of what's going on. Some of the things that they're doing, the HMRC grants, and this is a HMRC grant, by the way, so I rather suspect what will happen is that they'll allow you to not pay your VAT or corporation tax or national insurance. We don't know the mechanics of behind it. Are HMRC going to pay you? Not quite sure how this is going to work. But ultimately, what will happen is that they will pay up to 80% of your wages up to 2,500 per person per month, which is quite a lot of wages. £30,000 if you think, and if you think about that, it's about £36,000 in total of someone's salary, but they'll give you up to that 2,500 because it's 80%, and it's going to be backdated. So if you've had to let go of someone, and by the way, this is for I'll give you the criteria, but it's typically for small, medium companies, small, medium-sized companies, big companies. It's for charity, non-for-profits. So is there anyone else that they're not supporting? So that's going to be backdated. So even if you've let go of someone, but right after the 1st of March, if you take them back on board with the employment, even if it's to stay at home and work on anything, the government will pay for 80% of their wages. So that's great news. I've got to be honest, I'm totally delighted, and it was heartfelt in terms of some of the speeches I've seen today. But Paul Boris looks absolutely dreadful. And that's meant to be a positive, but dreadful in as much as you can see how much he's trying to get us back where we are. And this is going to be open for at least 3 months. You'll notice I've just put open 4-4. It's been a real long day for me as well. But this is open for at least 3 months. So Rishi Sunak will be looking at this to see if it can be extended if this coronavirus does not dissipate and go away. There is a telephone number for this, is the business interruption line. So more information was being fed in today. Here's the telephone number for you to ring, by the way. It's an interest-free loan for 6 months. So it's certainly worth you looking at this if you're in a small business or a medium-sized business. I'll give you the criteria. It's up to 5 million in loans, which is a huge amount. Certain sectors are ineligible. To be fair, that's more to do with the banking industry and insurance companies, but most other industries, you can get it if you're a small, medium-sized company. And it's for 14 days sick day pay that's to be refunded as well. So if you paid sick pay, that money can be refunded on top of this particular loan. The start date of this, so gets this in your diaries, is the 23rd of March. So no doubt that telephone number you can see on the screen will be busy. I tried it today. I had to be honest, at the same time, I'm trying to phone the government for my tax issues in terms of delaying payments. Again, I was on there for about just under half an hour before I had to stop the call, before I had a client meeting. But it is about persistence. You will get through. It's just that there are issues there. The turnover is less than 41 million. So really, it's going to cover a lot of people listening to me, hopefully tonight. And it's got to be below 250 employees. As I said, certain sectors are ineligible. In addition to all of this, I'm also pleased to see that private firms and banks are giving money. You'll see 2 billion by Lloyds Bank. We're giving loans. 5 billion from NatWest, 7 billion from Barclays. So these are banks that are looking to help small businesses to stay afloat during these really difficult times. But isn't it positive to see it? One bank you're not going to see on there, HSBC. Not a fan of them, I've got to be honest. I've seen clients whereby they're saying to me, I spoke to a financial advisor, and HSBC have ripped up the fixed term loans and increased the rate. And they've decreased the overdraft facilities for some people as well, I've seen on the internet. So well done, HSBC. But in all seriousness, thank you to Lloyds, thank you to NatWest, and thank you for Barclays to helping out this country getting through this troubled times. That's brilliant. And I feel so positive. And you know, by the government support and how much they really are doing for us, because we're all quite fearful and scared about what's going on. By the way, I'm going to go to the words. I'm just going to take a break for a second, because what I want to do is just go back to the words that have been that I saw. The Forex code says bought 2 hotels, 2 limited companies in the last 3 months. Great timing. Hey, I think good points that sometimes you make investments and it can gonna go wrong. I get that, but there are so much support you can get from your bank. So payment terms on your buy-to-lets. If you've got a commercial loan, obviously, then that's it there. Been busy, been sorted accountancy, Not sure if tonight's ab. I'm not sure. It's not from my app. I've got to be honest. Fed up, resilient, good. Powerless. I mean, yeah, I can understand that. Powerless. I mean, there is a great saying by Stephen Covey that talks about the circle of influence. I was saying this to Louise. It's sometimes you make plans, but then everything else really disrupts it because it's out of your control, and that is certainly what's going on now. So I can understand that, David, by saying powerless. Yeah, so in terms of stress, sorry about the percentage of wages. Yeah, I think people are feeling this similar kind of thing. So let's move on to other positive things. I'll come back to that. Government rates grants as well. So an extra bit that came in very, very late on for me to read it. I'm sure other people saw that. But £25,000 grant funding for the retail, hospitality and leisure. For premises that they run with a rateable value between 15,000 and 51,000. So there is a government grant now for the payment of business rates. So not only if you own the building, you're going to get mortgage repayment delays. If you are paying obviously the rates, you can now get a government grant. If you have staff members that you had on your books, but you're a cafe and you've had to close, now you can get HMRC support for 8% of the wages. And maybe you could top it up, maybe, depending on how much money you have in your coffers. And what expenses you've got left? Utilities. I think it is worth speaking to utility companies now, and then maybe, just maybe, we can afford not to be open. We don't want this, but I think we can all get through this ordeal. Don't forget that there is a coronavirus financial update article, and in that article I have pulled together all the resources in one place. I've also embedded other people's videos, so if you want to kind of read it, you can, but there are links to government sites, HMRC sites, ACAS, other types of organizations that are legitimately trying to help us out here. And that's on the Optimize Accountants website. And it's the latest article, the coronavirus financial impact. So do have a look at that article. Trust me, it is not overkill with words. There's a lot of information, but you can pick out the bits that's relevant to you. And don't forget, guys, let's cheer ourselves up and think about tax. Okay, didn't really think that one through. But tomorrow is a brand new day. It's Saturday. I appreciate it, but I'm shattered. But I'm energetic about tomorrow because I do want to help people grow their wealth. I do think that property investing is probably still the #1 investments we can make. I've even spoken with people from JP Morgan this week and other institutions who are clients of ours, by the way, and they still invest in property despite what they know in the markets. What's that tell you? So I'm here to help you tomorrow morning, YouTube live again. So make sure you're on that one. And that's a free property tax workshop for 2 hours. Yes, you get me for 2 hours solid. So you've had maybe most of the week. I'll rephrase that. You've seen me for the most of the week, and now you get to see me in the morning. No double entendres there. So I shall look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 9 a.m. where I'll be a bit more chirpier and the sun will be on our faces, hopefully. And since we can't do anything, I'll go to the pub or anything, cafes. We're stuck indoors, so why not study tax? See you then. Bye-bye.